Looking at the entry list, Eala is locked in. Bazo is there too. But Basa? She is stuck in qualifying. She did not quite make the direct cut this time around. For now, Basa is grinding through the qualifying rounds. Right now, something absolutely wild is unfolding in the professional tennis world. It is intense. If you have not been watching lately, you are missing out. One name is echoing through every single locker room, press box, and fan forum online right now. That name is Alex Eala. Weeks ago, she was just a promising young player people were starting to notice. Today, she is the talk of the tour because the French Open just gave her a direct spot at Roland Garros. No qualifying, no grinding through early rounds. She is heading straight to the main event with the biggest stars in women's tennis. This decision is sending shockwaves through the entire sport. Before we look at what is next for her, let us talk about why this specific moment matters so much. Grand Slams do not just hand out wildcards or direct entries because a player looks like a prospect. These moves are purely calculated. Organizers look at the stats, the crowds, and the social media engagement. They study the energy an athlete brings to the stadium. When the French Open analyzed all that data, one specific name kept appearing at the top of the list. Ask yourself, what exactly did Alex Eala do to convince a world-class tournament that she belongs in that main draw so quickly? The answer to that question reveals a story that is honestly much bigger than the sport itself. It all started back at the Australian Open. If you were paying attention, you saw it happen live. The second she stepped on court, the vibe shifted. Fans who never heard of her were suddenly rushing to find out where she was playing. Long lines of spectators wrapped around the courts before her matches even started. People were showing up hours early just to grab a seat and see her in person. Keep in mind, these were not finals. These were not even the semi-final matches. This was just Alex Eala being herself, playing with a fearless, magnetic energy that makes it impossible for anyone to look away. The tournament staff noticed, broadcasters noticed, and, most importantly, the people running the show noticed. Because in modern sports today, attention is absolute currency. The power to draw in casual viewers to make people who do not even follow tennis care about a match that is rare. That is a special quality you cannot teach or manufacture in a lab. You either have that star power or you do not. Alex Eala has it in a way very few current players do. But hype alone does not get you into the French Open. You need results. You need huge moments to prove you belong. That is exactly what happened at the Miami Open. If Australia introduced the world to Alex Eala, Miami was when the tennis world realized that this girl is the real deal. Her deep run through that bracket caught everyone by surprise. She was playing with a level of sharpness and aggression that felt totally different from her earlier matches. Her movement was smoother. Her decisions were faster. She was not just playing safe and waiting for an error. She was hunting for winners, hitting big shots, and playing the kind of tennis that makes highlight reels. Then came the match that changed her entire life forever. Her massive victory over Coco Gauff. Let that sink in. Coco Gauff is a Grand Slam champion and a global superstar who has played on the biggest stages in the world. Alex Eala walked out there and beat her. That was no fluke. That was not just luck. That was an athlete performing under the brightest lights against the best in the world. That win changed her reputation for good. It gave her real credibility with the critics who were still not quite convinced. There are always skeptics who say the hype is fake. But you cannot argue with beating a Grand Slam champion on a big stage. That performance spoke for itself. After Miami, the momentum exploded. She arrived at Indian Wells and proved she was not just a one-hit wonder. Even without taking the trophy home, her competitive spirit and composure against elite opponents were absolutely world-class. Her tactical awareness is way beyond her years. All of it points toward a player who is genuinely developing into something special on the professional tour. Analysts are changing how they talk about her. It is no longer just watch out for this kid, it is this player is a nightmare for anyone on tour. That shift in how the experts view an athlete is huge. It reflects a major change in perception. She was no longer being judged by her potential. She was being measured against the best and she was winning. Now, this is where it gets interesting. It is not just the fans and the media watching her rise. Some of the greatest legends in tennis history have been watching her too, and they are talking. Novak Djokovic, a man who has faced every high-pressure situation in the game, who has won everything and faced every legendary rival, is reportedly very impressed by what he is seeing from Alex Eala. When Djokovic talks about a young player's grit and discipline, you listen. He's lived it inside the arena. He knows exactly what divides the legends at the top from the players who just fall short. When a legend with his eye for talent takes notice, it says something massive about where her career is heading. Then you have Maria Sharapova. She understands a unique breed of greatness. Sharapova was far more than just a tennis star. She became a global icon and a cultural force, pushing her influence way beyond the white lines of the court. Her career transcended trophies. It was about presence, impact, and becoming a powerful symbol for something much bigger. Sharapova sees that exact same spark in Alex Eala, the sense that she already owns the platform and the stage. She has the voice and instinct to blend sports with culture, fashion, and the arts. She commands a global influence that very few athletes ever manage to reach. That kind of endorsement from a pioneer is absolutely extraordinary. It proves that the icons who know how to transcend the sport believe Alex Eala has the DNA to become a true global superstar. Now we look at Paula. You cannot tell the story of the current shift in women's tennis without acknowledging the veterans whose spotlight is being shared or quietly taken. Badosa is an elite player, period. No one with real tennis knowledge would ever dismiss her achievements. She has survived injuries that would have crushed most careers. She has competed at the absolute highest level, securing massive wins against the best players in the world. She earned her spot in the game, but momentum is a fickle beast. It doesn't care about your past resume. It doesn't check your past ranking history before deciding where to flow. Right now, the momentum in women's tennis has one very clear direction toward Alex Eala. Imagine grinding through the tour for years, fighting your way through qualifiers. You manage injuries and build your reputation point by point, only to watch a teenager suddenly leapfrog past you. Not just in the rankings, but in fame, crowd size, and the massive attention she gets every time she steps on the court. That's a brutal reality for any competitor to process. Elite athletes are hardwired to fight for their position at the top. They believe that hard work and results should dictate the hierarchy, but modern sports rarely work in such a clean way. Sometimes an athlete arrives who shifts the entire conversation in a way that goes far beyond what statistics can ever capture. That is exactly what Alex Eala is doing right now. She is doing a lot more than just winning tennis matches. She is redefining what fans expect from a match. Now, the French Open becomes the stage where this drama unfolds in the most high-stakes setting possible. Roland Garros represents clay court tennis at its most unforgiving. This red dirt surface rewards extreme patience. It demands physical endurance, tactical brilliance, and the mental strength to reset after grueling rallies. Brutal rallies can stretch for minutes. It is a world away from the hard courts where she found her momentum. Clay court tennis demands something deeper from an athlete. It tests if you can suffer through a point, stay disciplined while your legs burn, and trust the plan when the surface fights back. So, the big question hanging over the tour right now isn't whether Alex Eala actually deserves her spot in the main draw. That call was already made for very good reasons. The real mystery is whether she can seize this chance and turn it into a massive statement. Because a deep run at Roland Garros wouldn't just be a personal victory for her. It would be the kind of moment that reshapes the entire global conversation around women's tennis. It would put her name alongside the players who defined this sport for generations. Her inner circle knows exactly what is at stake here. Those close to her training say she is putting in massive hours to prepare her body and game for the unique demands of clay. She definitely isn't treating this like a free pass. She's viewing this as the biggest opportunity of her entire career, which is the perfect elite mentality for a player in her shoes. The pressure she's taking into Roland Garros is honestly immense when you think about it. The fans are going to expect fireworks. The media will be watching for headlines while opponents study her game to find weaknesses. They'll be testing if the hype holds up under the relentless grind of a grand slam on clay. That's a storm of expectations that has crushed players with way more experience. But there's something about Alex Eala that keeps coming up in every conversation. She seems to thrive when the stakes are at their highest. The Australian Open crowds didn't rattle her. The high pressure in Miami didn't make her shrink. The heavy expectations at Indian Wells didn't slow her down at all. There is something in how she competes that suggests the pressure is actually fuel for her, not a burden. If that holds true at Roland Garros, we might be witnessing the start of something truly historic for the sport. The French Open has made its bet. They've seen the shift in women's tennis and decided Alex Eala belongs at the center. She's not an outsider fighting through qualifiers for a lucky break anymore. She's right there in the main draw, standing with established champions with the full support of one of the most iconic sporting events on the planet. That is a massive statement about the future of this sport and the superstar who's going to lead it. For every fan watching, whether you are a veteran or someone brand new following Alex Eala, the French Open is about to deliver the next chapter in a sports saga that is only just finding its rhythm.